Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out ProRevenge. Story 1. Ex-BF and his ex cause me to almost off myself. I cause my ex-BF to lose his business. Hello everyone. Going to try to make this as short, sweet, and to the point as possible. I had been dating someone for a few months and decided to get an apartment in their hometown. Everything was going fine until I logged into a local chat room, think AOL days, to hopefully make some new friends and find out good places to go sing karaoke, and a weird username messaged me and said, "Hello," and nothing else. A few days later, me and the BF, let's call him Bob, are supposed to meet up for breakfast, and when I get there he has a messenger bag with him. I ask what he wants to eat, and he says he's not hungry. I ask him what's wrong and he pulls out about 20 pages of a chat log from that weird username on the website. In this chat log there is some very graphic adult stuff that was being discussed by that username. Also in that chat log, was my name commenting on it, which I never did. I asked him what this was, and of course he asked me to tell him what it was. I honestly had no idea, and told him so. He broke up with me right there over this. As I stated before, that username had said hello to me, and that was it. This chat log was faked and no idea why someone would do that. When I got home crying my eyes out, my phone rang and there was a strange voice on the line, saying how that now that I'm single, I should go out with them and all sorts of crap. Then the text messages started about wanting to sexually assault me, and various other things. It was then it was revealed it was the ex of my now ex Bob. Called up Bob and told him what was going on and asked him why he gave my number to his ex. He said I should have tried to cheat on him with his ex. Again, never happened. Up until this, I thought Bob was going to be the person I spent my life with. That obviously didn't happen. Sad face. Needless to say, this resulted in a police report being filed with pictures of all the text messages, and voicemails being given to the police. I almost killed myself that night over all of this. Bob's ex created this fake chat log to try to break us up, which it did, just to try to get him back, which it didn't work in the end. The revenge. My ex-BF Bob was running a computer business, and at the time Windows required CD keys to install. He was building custom computers for people but using a key generator to make the keys to install Windows and Microsoft Office 2003. I found this out, and decided to contact Microsoft and the anti-piracy groups and gave them all the information I had. I didn't hear anything more about it. Until just before I moved back to my home state, the hammer fell. My ex lost his computer business and was fined over 100,000 for the software piracy. He still doesn't know who turned him in, but it cost him everything he had worked for. He was forced to move back in with his parents, sell his car, and get a job waiting tables. Was told I should post this here because we didn't know if this counted as pro or nuclear revenge. Update: I was asked why Bob got the brunt of this. Well, here it is. Bob gave my contact info to his ex, and that started a campaign of harassment by his ex towards me. Police wouldn't do anything because of his uncle being on the force. So Bob giving my phone number out to people and being the instigator and telling them to hit me up, as I later found out, is why he got the brunt of it. Rather have went after that sleazeball ex of his, but I couldn't get info on him. I suspect the other reason that the police didn't do anything, was because of it involving 3 gay guys. Maybe if it had been a big city, maybe something would have been done back in 2005, but it being the Midwest, probably explains why the police there didn't give a rat's ass. Also, I should mention that I have done some IT work in the past, so that's why I called Microsoft and the anti-piracy groups, because I knew what Bob was doing was piracy, and it would cost him everything if they dropped the hammer on him. Which, it did. Story 2. Senior manager gets me fired. I turn things around and get her job and salary, plus see her break down and then let her know exactly how I got my revenge. I was hired by a company as an assistant manager, a job I was well qualified for. The owner is rarely on site as he owns several businesses. The company is run by a GM, who hired me, but who works mostly second shift and who I therefore would have little daily contact with since I was hired for first shift. I was assigned to Eva for training. Eva was a manager and had been with the company 5 years. I trained with her for a few days and then I was on my own, though she and I had overlapping shifts and would see each other a few days a week. We were friendly but not close. After a few months I was doing well at my job, and had even gotten some new procedures adopted to help boost sales. Eva began to act resentful. She would correct me for small things and took any opportunity to remind me that she had trained me. It didn't matter to me, she wasn't my boss, I reported to the GM. So I mostly just ignored her. What I didn't know was that Eva was not just tight with the GM but they had worked together at another place for 10 years before this one. One day at shift end, GM asks to talk. Tells me it's not working out, says I'm still making mistakes at 6 months that I shouldn't be. I ask for examples. A few of them were petty matters Eva had mentioned, but most of them were just not true. I tried to argue but it was clear that I was set up. I decided to reach out to the owner since I had nothing to lose. He was sympathetic but said he relies on GM to run the business and had to support her decision. Then he mentioned that if things hadn't been so bad between me and Eva, it probably could have been worked out. That's when I knew she was behind me being fired from a job I needed, really liked, and was making great money, and I vowed to get revenge. I started searching her online info. In less than an hour I had uncovered gold thanks to one of those pay services. About 3 months prior, Eva was arrested and charged with DWI in a neighboring state. The court records showed she had a hearing coming up in a few weeks. That was enough to get her fired. It affects a professional license she and I had to have as management. Per state law, license holders must report criminal charges to the licensing board, and in the case of a DWI arrest, licenses are typically suspended pending trial. I called the owner and told him what I discovered. It was news to him. I guess since it was out of state, Eva was keeping it secret. Maybe she was hoping to get let off the charges. The next day, the owner called and said Eva was fired. He thanked me for telling him about her DWI, apologized for how I was fired, and offered me Eva's position and salary. He asked me to come in the next morning to meet with him, and to cover Eva's shift. I accepted. That alone was sweetly satisfying revenge, but what happened next was the icing on the cake. I got to work extra early, met with owner and GM and we all agreed to start fresh. Cool. It was still an hour before opening and I was in the back of the place when I heard the front door chime. When I came out a few minutes later, Eva was there, tears flowing, begging the owner for her job back. She obviously didn't know I was there, because when she saw me her whole body seized and her shocked expression was priceless. I walked right by her, staring her down with a shitty grin, and went outside. Eva came out a minute later and wouldn't make eye contact. As she walked away I said, "Good luck on the 23rd." That was her court date. Story 3. Restaurant scams me for fake Google reviews. I burn their Google reviews page reputation to the ground and get the media to cover it. Hi folks! First post here, thought it would definitely fit. So about a month ago I applied for a sushi restaurant called Yoshi's and I got a text from their hiring manager, and we chatted about my availability, location, start date, yada yada. She then asked me to write a review of general Japanese food to show I knew what I was talking about and could upsell customers. Fine, I write a long review and sent it to her. She then sends me a tiny link URL and tells me to post it there before I would be invited for an interview. I click it and what do you know? It's the Google page for a whole different restaurant all the way across the city. So I read the reviews, and they had done this to 30 or so people in the last 2 weeks at the different locations franchised to the same crazy owner. I was pissed to say the least. This happened peak COVID in my state, people are unemployed at staggering rates struggling to feed their families, and these assholes are scamming potential hires for fake reviews. Being unemployed, I had some time on my hands so I screenshot our convo and posted it all over social media. They went from 3.4 to 1.2 in a few hours with more than 70 new reviews about their shitty behavior. I was satisfied with that, and a report to the Attorney General here. But then I noticed, the owner had managed to get all the reviews removed, so at that point I went full nuclear. I contacted every media outlet, reported them to every oversight board, emailed corporate about it, and reported them to Google. I managed to get one of our local news outlets to cover it, and Google ended up removing all of their reviews altogether. Scam me and countless others during a global pandemic? I ruin your business's reputation for your shitty behavior. Story 4. Don't cheat on your graduation lifeline. Sue I, 19M, and my, now ex, GF, 18F, have been together for more than a year. We were in the same class during middle school and high school now, a 2-year friendship eventually evolved into a relationship, y'all know how it is. We were happily together, at least so I thought, since December 2019. I thought everything was great between us the whole time, although recently, about March, I noticed her becoming very distant and barely writing first, dry texting, etc. I asked her multiple times if everything is okay and gave her some space, but it continued for the next few months. I was naturally very upset as I've been through hell and back together with her when she was going through depression and a really hard time at the end of 2020. It suddenly felt like all this time was wasted and worth nothing. I, as a naive high schooler, truly believed that she was the one. It was serious after all. We matched perfectly together. We spent about 3 full months crying together at night when she was going through a rough time. We had similar plans for the future, similar interests, and it seemed we were meant for each other. My GF, let's call her Caroline, was studying to become a lawyer, so she was mostly into humanities subjects. I on the other hand am studying biochem, for medical school. I apologize if this is all confusing/different, we live in Europe. She was required to attend at least one science subject to graduate, physics/biology/chemistry/psychology. She always hated these subjects and just took them because they were necessary to graduate. She ended up picking chemistry as I was a natural and tutored 9 and 10 graders chemistry in my free time, and I always helped her with assignments etc. It started as helping her before exams and assignments so she could get a good pass grade, and after her rough time warped into me writing half of the assignments for her. In February she started to do everything with me again though, we had online the whole time. Anyways, enough backstory. After noticing Caroline started to get distant and she never properly answered my questions regarding her behavior, I wanted to see how far it would go. For 1 week I didn't invite her/call her/text her first. In a total of 1 week she called me 3 times. Twice to ask me about her assignment and once telling me how she felt insecure and bad. I'm not a dickhead, I helped her out with her school stuff and comforted her when she felt down. Me being the naive love is perfect lovebird, I am chalked it up to her feeling depressed again but feeling embarrassed about it. I continued helping and comforting her for the next month until nothing changed and she never opened up. I was honestly doubting everything by then. Is it me? What am I doing wrong, etc. I tried everything I could. Eventually, I asked her friends if something happened but they said she was the same as always towards them. I knew something was up, but I didn't know what it was yet. One day when she came over to my place, it was only the second time she did that in March. Usually she came at least twice a week. We were sitting in my room and talking while she was trying out Valorant. After she went to my kitchen to make herself something, I hear a notification from her phone. I'm usually not a snooper but I had a quick look at her screen that lit up. I wouldn't be able to read the message or who it was anyway. It was a Discord notification. I was very surprised. I knew for a fact that she didn't have it a month ago. Plus she only plays Minecraft once in a while, she never uses Discord or anything. So the next morning I did some snooping and sure enough, I found a whole other Instagram account of hers where she branded herself to be an aesthetic gamer girl, not that there is anything wrong with that. She had never told me anything about this. I couldn't find any of her friends following her on that account either. Sure enough, she had her Discord username in her bio. Curious and tbh asshole me decided it would be a good idea to create a throwaway account and try to text her to see what she was all about. Before you complain to me, I know I was an asshole here. After texting her on my new account, we talked for a bit until she became flirty. We played a few Bed Wars games together, once again on a throwaway account I bought for $1 LMAO. I kinda broke down and started questioning my sanity. I had been with her all this time and through so much shit, I couldn't believe she would do this to me. After the sadness came from the anger, I wanted to know how much she took it. I found it hard to believe that she would just casually flirt with guys like this. After setting up my first recon mission plan, I found out more about her until I found out about her supposed boyfriend. At that point I had a huge emotional breakdown and I felt I've wasted so much time helping someone who would betray me like this. From her stories I would later find out they were sleeping with each other for a whole month by now, about when her behavior started to change. At this point I started hatching my revenge plan. I know I would not let her off the hook this easily. I spent 2 weeks pulling all-nighters making sure I had all my work done till the end of the year, until graduation. I spent all my remaining time creating fake chemistry textbook pages so I could make my ProRevenge more believable. All of the information was wrong. I knew I had to give her a taste of her own medicine, betray her like she had me. For the remaining 2 months of the school year, I fed her all this fake information and made sure she got all of her assignments wrong. I knew she wouldn't be able to tell anyone she was copying off me, as our high school had a very strict rule for plagiarism. As much as 3 small cheating attempts on small exams could get you expelled. So after letting the pot stew for those 2 painful, awful months, I let the shit hit the fan. As our teacher had to handle an outrageous amount of classes, she always checked our assignments late, often by 2 or 3 months all at once. I knew I could use this fact to my advantage. After she submitted her final assignments that were worth a huge percentage of our final graduation grade, I told her I knew about her shenanigans had been still ongoing for 3 entire months by now. I told her how she hurt me and how it will come back to haunt her. I made sure of that. She mostly brushed me off and acted as if I were the villain, as I couldn't just leave her and that she was only friends with that guy. Although I told her something was going to happen, I never told her what it would be. Trust me, she never saw it coming. 1 week later, the end-of-year results rolled around. When we received our final grades, I was over the moon as I passed with flying colors. On the other hand, her not so much. Due to her final assignments and all quarter 4 work equaling to an F, she called me crying and asked for help. She told me she wouldn't be able to graduate if she wouldn't receive at least a passing grade for this year. She told me our teacher gave her a final chance after telling her how disappointed she was. Caroline has 2 more months at school with extra one-on-one online lessons with our saint teacher. Honestly, props go out to our teacher for giving her another chance. TBH, I felt really bad for her and her situation, knowing very well if she didn't work her ass off in these 2 months, in a subject she hated, she would have to repeat the last year, without someone constantly helping her with her chem. That compassion quickly went away and I told her I would help her, but only if she apologized and paid me my regular tutoring fees. Caroline went full-on ballistic after that and screamed at me, how I could do this to her. I hung up and she called me a few seconds after, apologizing and agreeing to pay me for my help. She now has 2 months of intense memorizing with her ex if she wants to graduate. TLDR, my GF cheated on me, so I fed her fake chemistry information and almost made her fail chemistry. Now she's paying me to tutor her. Edit. Now she has to study for those 2 months, and when the regular end of the school year comes she has to complete a series of exams, think 4 to 8, covering the most important topics from this year. If she passes all of them she will pass chemistry. Update, 08.06.21, June. Wow, I really didn't expect post to blow up whatsoever. Thanks y'all Redditors for your support and contributions. Special mentions go out to r/Redditor and Ask Goblin for featuring my stories in their YouTube videos. After 4 weeks of preparing, Caroline has actually learned a lot. She's even broken off contact with that guy, apologized and taken me out to dinner a few times to show her gratitude for still helping her. I hope she was actually able to realize what mistakes she committed in the past and won't do the same again. She was able to take her first exam today in the morning and is quite confident about it. Her next 5 will be spread along the next 2 final weeks. She will find out if this extra work is enough latest on the 23rd of June. I keep you guys update on further details and events that are relevant to this story. Once again, thank you all for your support. Update 29.07.21, July. So firstly, I apologize to all of you for this late update, but I was quite busy with collage applications, moving etc. It's been a long way for Caroline, but she's made it and completed all criteria required to graduate. She's also gotten into quite a good university and she's learned a lot, not just chemistry, but she's actually gotten a much better work ethic and motivation to do stuff she doesn't enjoy. In the meantime, I've moved on and am with someone new. We're still friends but set clear boundaries as to not repeat history once again. I'm very happy the way things are, as I've gotten into my first choice medical collage. I've already moved out about 2 weeks ago and I'm living in the same city as before, because it's a major European city and has great universities. Caroline's collage is located in a different country and she's moving tomorrow. We've met today to say goodbye, but we plan to keep in contact, as mentioned before, only as friends. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.